Today is Wednesday, July 29th, 2026, and I am here with Benjamin, and we are going to talk about the summer during his first MLOA and returning to Northwestern for the fall quarter in 2021.
Chapter 9 Who Are You? By the middle of June, the Adderall was gone from my system, but the hole that Adderall had filled had reopened. 4 months of Adderall had kept the pit suppressed, 4 months of focus, of structure, of a body running on chemistry that didn't leave room for the question. Without the pill, without the classes, without the routine that had given the days their shape, there were no actions or habits left to fill the hole. It needed to be filled, so I reached for something else. And marijuana. The biggest shift was in how I identified myself. The version of me that did everything, gym, library, dean's list, the routine that filled every hour, was gone. Now just this, I'm a smoker. The weed became the fuel, the first thing in the morning, before the gym, before yoga, before cardio, the thing that started the day instead of the thing that ended it. And I noticed it in real time. For the first months I smoked, marijuana was the first thing in 4 years that slowed me down enough to do the work, and it was still through doing meditation and breathing together, yoga on top of that, 30 minutes every morning with a Theragun, a massage gun, working through the knots stacked behind my right shoulder blade from 4 years of the joint sitting out of socket, actions, habits, structure. But the doing was different now. It was the practices that let me return to my body, the practices that began to let me heal as a person rather than optimize as a body. The pill had given me focus, the weed was something else entirely. A mask, too, a different kind of mask, a mask of healing. I was beginning the process of returning to myself, but the return was happening through an external substance. The mask was new in shape, but the architecture underneath was the same, an external thing carrying the weight of an internal question. That summer ran on it. Wake up, smoke, gym, yoga, cardio, back home, smoke, read and learn all day, kickboxing class in the evening, return home, the first and only meal of the day, sleep, repeat. That summer was when I started exploring Buddhism and Stoicism. I read multiple works by Thich Nhat Hanh, a Buddhist monk. The two traditions together gave me new perspectives on the suffering I felt I was enduring day to day, and on how to move forward with my life. Suffering wasn't supposed to be optimized out of the body, it was supposed to be looked at, understood, sat with. That was a foreign idea after 4 years of trying to outrun it through every external identity I'd built. It was the closest thing to a healthy routine I'd run since before the stroke, and it worked. For a short period of time, it worked. In early August 2021, I made the decision to return to school for fall quarter. My parents and I packed up both SUVs and drove from Houston to Memphis on day one. Memphis to Evanston on day two. The marijuana from that summer was still holding me in a more attentive state. I drove the entire 16 hours over those 2 days without music, no podcasts, no conversation playing through speakers. Just me, the wheel, and the road in front of me. Different from the drive with Sam in January, that one had been two brothers racing back to Evanston. This one was two cars, 2 days, no rush. The boredom came in waves, so did the temptation to reach for the radio, to put on a podcast, to fill the silence with anything. But I'd set a rigid rule for that trip: no audio, no input, just my own mind, my hands on the wheel, the road, so I let the temptation come and pass again and again across those 16 hours, the mind sitting with itself, by itself. I'd come back to Evanston for the fall quarter, new apartment, same routine I'd held through the summer. The marijuana was what was holding me up to continue doing. The yoga continued. The Theragun continued. The reading continued. Muay Thai training began. That fall, at least once a week, I drove from Evanston to Michigan City, Indiana for craniosacral therapy. An hour and a half there, an hour and a half in session, an hour and a half back. With traffic, the whole trip ran close to 5 hours. Craniosacral therapy, CST, is a light touch body work. The therapist works with the bones of the skull and spine and the rhythm of the fluid around the brain and spinal cord. The contact is barely contact, slow, subtle, almost nothing. For the first 6 sessions of CST, Robin worked around the base of my skull, where the clots had formed, where the stroke had started. Whether it was the years of playing tackle football from ages 7 to 16, or my injury, there was a lot of trauma held there, energy that needed to be released. I was applying the same intensity to my recovery that I had applied to everything else, the same drive that had gone into the drugs earlier that year. Now it had a new direction. But Evanston was different from Houston. In Houston that summer, the days had been mine, quiet, self-contained. In Evanston, there was a campus, a schedule, a football team, and the football season ahead of me was going to be my brother Sam's last college football season. The hardest part of the fall was going to be the balance, self-medicating internally with an external substance while showing up externally every day, especially on Saturdays, game days. Saturdays were the hardest. I had to show up for Sam every home game, every kickoff, every quarter, beginning to end. He'd carried me through too much for me to miss a single Saturday of his last year. But to walk into that stadium, I had to take myself out of it first. The only tool I had was marijuana, and not a little. I had to get so high before kickoff that I was floating somewhere above the stadium, like a balloon I'd let go of, watching the body sit in the seat below. 3 or 4 hours of game time, the crowd, the band, the student section, the team running out of the tunnel. Sam's final season was a blur. The football season ended in mid-November. That same week, the Northwestern field hockey team won the national championship. I knew a lot of athletes through Sam, through my own acquaintances built from the party boy years, through the time I'd spent on campus. The celebration was going to be a big one. The whole athletic community poured into a bar to mark what one of their teams had just done. I went. There was more energy in the bar that night than there had been on a game day like the one in October of 2020. The campus was fully open now, the COVID restrictions were gone, and this wasn't a regular game day, this was a national championship celebration. The buzzing electricity of any celebration night was in the air, multiplied by everything that had been held back the year before. So many bodies packed into a bar not big enough to hold them. The heat from all that movement warmed the whole room. The cold November air outside, the warmth of the crowd inside, you could feel the difference the second you walked through the door. The energy was up. Everyone was in a good mood. My friends were in a good mood. I was in a good mood. The whole bar was leaning into the night ahead of us. Out of all the bodies packed into that bar, there was only one person I was interested in, a girl. We were introduced through mutual friends. The conversation started easy. Small talk, the celebration, the team, who knew who. Then she asked the question, "Who are you?" I deflected. She came back, "No, but who are you? I see you hanging out with athletes, but I never see you in the athletic facility." And I went searching. Internally, right there at the bar with her standing in front of me, looking through everything I'd built, every external identity I'd put on since June of 2018, and not one of them was an answer I could give a stranger to the question of who I was. During the search, the bar went quiet. The celebration, the noise of the crowd, the music, all of it dropped out. Just me sifting through everything internally, trying to find an adjective, a noun, a verb to answer this question. The only thing I could muster the third time she asked was the same one I'd been giving for years. I'm Sam Miller's younger brother. And she came back with the line that struck me in my Achilles heel. No, but who are you? The question that had opened in me in June of 2018, the question I'd been running from through every mask I'd worn since, cut through all of them in a single sentence from someone I had just met. I didn't have an answer.